morning. I've been asked to talk today essentially to provide some plain speaking. The mothers group are objecting to the change in Penal Code sections 365 and 365A of the, as presented by Premanath Sidolawatta some while ago in a private member's bill. The Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka has, in my understanding, brought forward an unsolicited recommendation to the Minister of Justice, Harshana Nanayakara, asking that this bill be read for approval in Parliament. There has been some confusion created that homophobic groups are objecting to the decriminalization of same-sex relations. That is not the issue here. I reiterate, that is not the issue here. This is not a homophobic statement. In my understanding, these laws were brought in 1996, later strengthened in 2006. Why did this happen? This happened subsequent to the realization that many dubious resorts in the southern province, I think in the Balapitiya area, had established pedophilia networks which brought in young boys, සමහරක් අය අවුරුදු 10 يعني හැමෝම අවුරුදු 18ට අඩු, some as young as 9, to pleasure foreign men. The pimps were actually the older boys themselves. Now the existing laws at the time, I'm talking 1996 and then again 2006, were clearly insufficient to protect our children, and that is why these laws were brought in. Now the said private member and the HRCSL has suggested its removal. I just want to say that no one who lives in Sri Lanka at the moment and who has some access to the internet can be blind to the upsurge of promulgation of the same-sex content that is targeting adolescents and young adults. There are plenty of studies to show that continuous exposure to this content generates a feeling of doubt, it generates a feeling of confusion and a need to experiment in these target groups. I think anybody with children, anybody with a younger sibling will understand that teenagers are, generally speaking, somewhat confused, somewhat aggressive, and one needs to be tolerant and understanding, but also have some level of supervision to ensure that they are not led down paths of corrupt morality and not really of their own free will. The United States has published a number of studies about post-pandemic TikTok resulting in more same-sex activity, even amongst young female adults. So the possible deliberately created confusion is being counted in numbers in a very short period of time, as now there is more acceptance in the environment. Therefore, true homosexuals and lesbians are free to come out. The incentivizing factor, the promotion factor is not being counted in these statements. In Sri Lanka, we are historically a tolerant country for personal lifestyle choices. This is not a country that has a history of chemically castrating a homosexual. Look at what the state mechanism in Great Britain did to Alan Turing. Look at what was done to Oscar Wilde. Those scenarios happened in different countries, in different systems. This is a different ethos, a different civilization. Our country and our people lived by a different ethos. Our spirituality and our philosophy mattered as much, and if not more, than the Roman Dutch laws imposed on us by a narrow-minded monotheistic culture. When did we use these laws to prosecute? Have we prosecuted presidents? Have we prosecuted prime ministers? Have we prosecuted professors of language? Have we prosecuted famous authors? Have we prosecuted architects? Have we prosecuted surgeons? We have recognized their talents, not socially ostracized them. They have not impinged on our cultural ethos with their personal preferences. Has any of this happened in the present and the past? No. The police has better things to do in this country than to come in and peep through your windows. So long as you keep your sexual relations private, the public will not ask you how and with whom you choose to have your orgasms. If you don't hurt anyone, for the most part, society will not trouble you. And biologically speaking, an orgasm is only a surge of dopamine-like hormones. It is nature's bribe for us to encourage us to procreate. Our chemical control of the reproductive process has allowed societies to separate this intense pleasurable experience from the procreative consequence. Modern societies, particularly post-colonial societies, need to have the insight to understand that for progress, we sometimes have to limit the pursuit of addictive pleasures. Opioids, whether they are endogenously produced or exogenously produced, are addictive. I just want to digress and thank Anudi. Bless her soul, the girl has opened a space for us to quote the Dhamma. Iti dutto suradutto, akka dutto naro, laddam vinaseti. A person of loose morals, a drunkard, a gambler, ruins whatever he earns or gets. This is the cause of ruin or ruining. Even in modern society, these factors lead to ruin of one's life. And I want to say again, we are not homophobic. We acknowledge that sex is a beautiful thing with the right person, in the right place, at the right time. So much has been written about it, songs, poems, sculptures, films. And at a particular point in our lives, it can drive us. Where it takes us, where this drive takes us, what it makes of us, that is what we have to be wary of. It should take us to a place of mental and physical security and happiness. It should not be a furtively purchased commodity. If some external factors, knowingly or unknowingly, manipulate our children and our societies to destroy ourselves using this, then we should watch for it. I ask all of you who do not already know and who haven't read this bill, 365A, don't read it in isolation. Read it with some of the acts that have already passed, some of the proposed bills. Read it in the context of the dire economic situation that we are going to face. Read it in the context of geopolitical maneuvering. Be aware for your children, for our children. They are the future. In the name of protecting homosexuals and lesbians, what is happening is that a space is possibly being created to take away or minimize the punitive action against non-penetrative sexual activity. Your child can be targeted by an older person who teaches them oral and intracrural intercourse, mutual masturbation, who shows them affection that you may not have time for due to a transient ongoing situation, gives them things you can't currently afford due to expenditure for an educational priority. And this person will later walk away to the next victim, and you are left with no recourse to complain or protest. You are left with no legal protection. Is this what we need? Should we not strengthen our laws so that grooming cannot happen, that sexual content on media is censored and punished, that pedophilia is described more fully, recognizing that there is depravity that is not described by penetration alone? We are not targeting homosexuals or lesbians. The women and mothers here want the law strengthened to protect children. Let those amendments come first. This government has in the past months been forced to say, with regards to many of their promises, we did not realize it cannot be done so soon or so easily. They have not been good at looking at the big picture when they were on the outside. As far as child pornography, as far as pedophilia, grooming, social media content promoting carnal relationships in young age groups, recruitment as prostitutes, upsurge of same-sex relationships in school is concerned, if the parliament doesn't know, then before you remove the punitive action for child abuse, get the stakeholders on board. These are not decisions to take lightly. The consequences will destroy the social fabric that the citizenry, the armed forces, the great religions and professionals of all walks of life, for generations, we have fought to protect. Thank you.